Chapter 16. Arnie stretched his mouth wide. I thought he was going to scream. However, his chest began to move in and out, and all that came out were little sobs. It sounded like there was a tiny baby lost inside of his big body. He slumped against a wall and sat down. Suddenly, I felt dizzy. I plopped down next to him. There were worse things than Cockroach Cooties, and Bobby had set Arnie up. I didn't think my sweet little brother had it in him. It might be smarter to be nicer to him, if I could stand it. Arnie whirled around and grabbed me in his huge paws. "What'll I do?" Tears began to streak his face. "You gotta tell me what to do," he demanded over and over. He started to shake me. "Don't know," I said as he rocked me back and forth. "You gotta help me," Arnie blubbered. "Get me to the hospital. I don't want to die." Bobby squatted in front of us. He put his hand on Arnie's shoulders. "It's okay," he said gently. Arnie stopped shaking me, but he still gripped my shirt. "But I got bugs in me." "I hate bugs." "There weren't any eggs in those bugs," Bobby said, "and even if there were, the baking would kill them. There's nothing to worry about." It was strange to see little Bobby comforting big Arnie. "Yeah?" Arnie asked. "Yeah," Bobby said, nodding his head for emphasis. Arnie took a deep breath. "I hate cockroaches." "Cockroaches are neat," Bobby insisted. Arnie gave a shudder. "You wouldn't say that if you woke up and found them crawling all over you. All those tiny legs tickling you and covering you with cockroach cooties." Once I opened my mouth to cry and one of them dropped in my mouth. I spit it out, but that's when they really started to give me the creeps. "I like bugs, but not inside me," Bobby agreed. "Well, they're all over our apartment still," Arnie said. "When I open the door, I keep my eyes shut and count to 100. By then, most of them have run out of sight." "Our mom would have been spraying and spraying," I said, remembering Mom this morning. "And that had only been one bug." "My mom says she's no maid and no cook." Arnie paused and then laughed bitterly. "She's not into being a mom, period." I remembered yesterday when he heard that we were buying a present for our mother. Had he been jealous? Was that why he had broken our present? "What about your father?" I asked. Arnie wiped his tears away. "That jerk? He split a long time ago." It sounded like he was on his own. "I didn't know." Arnie glared at me. "Don't get the wrong idea about my mom. She works at 2 jobs. She's a waitress during the day, and then she cleans for most of the night. When she comes home, she's only got a few hours to sleep." "So you hardly ever see her," Bobby said. I stared at my little brother puzzled. Suddenly I realized what Bobby was doing. If he could see things through Hercules' eyes, he could also see them through Arnie's as well. Well, maybe that wasn't such a big leap from a cockroach to Arniezilla. So I tried it myself. I wondered what it would be like with no father and almost no mother. He had no one to get rid of the bugs like our parents did, or protect us. If I grew up on my own, I guess I'd have to be pretty tough too. I might even turn out like Arnie. That thought was as scary as the bugs. Arnie drew his knees up against his chest and hugged them. "So it was a trick?" "I'm sorry," Bobby said. "You didn't give us a choice." Arnie sniffed. "So why didn't you get the other kids? You all could have had a good laugh." Bobby sat down. "That's what I had planned to do." He leaned back on his hands. "But then I couldn't." "Why not?" Arnie asked suspiciously. "I would have." "So would I." "The kids would have made fun of me. No one would have been scared of me anymore," Arnie said. "You've already had it tough enough," Bobby said. Arnie's head snapped back angrily. "Don't you feel sorry for me? I'd get my reputation back." He held up his fists. "I still got these." Bobby raised and lowered his shoulders. "And you'd begin with Teddy and me, and we'd be right back where we started. So what's the point? We just want you to stop picking on us." "Is that all?" Arnie asked. "Just leave us alone," I said. "And you'd keep your mouth shut about this?" Arnie asked hopefully. Bobby looked at me. I was the older brother after all. "What do you think, Teddy?" That was a lot easier than living in the chapel the rest of my life. "You've got our word," I promised. "So do we have a peace treaty?" Arnie stuck out a paw. "Yeah." Bobby's hand disappeared in his. I put my hand over theirs and we shook hands. Suddenly I heard a growling from someone's stomach. "Do you have any money?" Bobby asked me. "Not a dime," I admitted. Turning, Bobby started to pick up the cheese sandwich. "I'll clean up the trash," Arnie said. "I don't want any reminders laying around." This is our lunch for this afternoon, Bobby said. We could throw away the dirty slice. Arnie shrugged. I'll share my lunch with you later. You will? I asked, surprised. It's only fair, Arnie said. Getting up, he got his books and a big brown bag. And my cookies come wrapped from the factory. Lunch with Arnie would be as interesting as tea with Madeline, and maybe just as challenging. I thought about asking the lunch ladies if I could give them an IOU instead. However, I wasn't sure how Arnie would take it. Would he get mad again if I refused his hospitality? So instead, I just gulped and said, thanks. All that morning in our classes and at recess, the other kids treated us with kid gloves. They acted as if we had been hit by a locomotive, and we couldn't tell them the truth because of our promise to Arnie. So when lunchtime finally rolled around, everyone was surprised when we joined our enemy. I could see heads twisting and people began to whisper and point at us. Usually, Arnie sat by himself. Arnie ignored the attention, though. He'd been getting into trouble ever since he had come to school. I guess he didn't care what people thought, so long as they thought he was tough. The only problem was that there wasn't 3 seats together. Arnie went up to a couple of kids. Scram, he said, jerking a thumb. Instantly, they scurried away. Arnie sat down and patted a seat with a grin. Arnie hadn't lost any of his temper. He was just going to aim it in a different direction. When we had sat down, he opened that big brown bag. Out of it, he lifted a box of ladyfinger cookies and a quart of milk. Your mother buys you that? I asked. Arnie laughed. She just gives me the money. I buy what I like. And today, I like these. He added, I think I lost my taste for cookies, though. I thought lunch might be one long silence. However, it turned out that he had seen as many Godzilla movies as we had. What's your favorite? He demanded. I like the one where he battles the other monsters, I said. It's like watching wrestlers, except they can breathe fire. I hate that one, Arnie said. I wasn't going to take that anymore. Well then, have you seen the one where he takes on Gerard? Bobby held up both hands. Yeah, the 3-headed one. That's the best. Arnie wiggled on his seat and shook his head violently. That's the stupidest, he insisted. That's your opinion, I shot back. Arnie still had an easy trigger. Are you saying I'm wrong? I didn't stop to think. I wasn't going to have my favorite movie be insulted. No, but you're not right either, I snapped. He grabbed me by the collar. Are you saying I'm stupid? No, I choked out. I could see his face. It was all red and angry. The old Arnie was ready to pound me flatter than Hercules. I may not get A's in school like you, but I'm not stupid. Arnie, Bobby said. He kept his hand on his lap while his other hand shielded it from the view of the other kids. What? Arnie demanded in exasperation. Bobby raised his fingers like antennae. He wiggled them at Arnie like a cockroach full of cooties. Arnie swallowed as he remembered the peace treaty. His fingers straightened. Sorry, he mumbled. I straightened my shirt. Forget it. Bobby played the peacemaker again. It was our fault. We should have asked you why you like Godzilla. Arnie pressed his lips together as he stared at the ceiling. I never thought about that. Let's see. He spoke slowly. Well, he's big, so he's clumsy. He added, and no one explains the rules to him. I could have said the same about Arnie. Well, yeah, that makes sense. I told you, I'm not dumb. He took a long, deep swig from the milk carton. I didn't think we'd ever be best buddies. Arnie was too much like a volcano. You never knew when he was going to explode. But he wasn't a monster either. Just another human being, like us.